I have been tracking every single weekly dividend ETF since they first launched, and in today's video, we are going to cover the YieldMax weekly dividend ETFs. Now, I put $100 into each of these ETFs, and I've been tracking their progress, both the return and return including the dividends, and the information is pretty surprising. I think you're going to enjoy. If you're interested in passive income, whether it be weekly or monthly, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on free future content. Let's roll that intro. Starting off with CHPY, or CHPY, the YieldMax Semiconductor Portfolio Income ETF. And with each of these ETFs, we're going to take a look at the chart, at the AUM, or assets under management. This shows us how much money is flowing in and out of the fund. We're going to look at the dividend yield, which on Moomoo, it's calculated as a trailing 12 months. So if they haven't paid out for a full year, it's going to be a little bit skewed, but I'll mention that. And then we're going to look at each of the last couple of distributions, because they're dividend ETFs, but technically they pay distributions. It's a key factor. So with CHPY, we can see $56 million in AUM, a dividend yield of 16%, but significantly higher than that. It's only been trading since April, so probably in the 30 to 40% range. One thing with CHPY that I think is very impressive, it continues to push upward. And I can't say that for all of the YieldMax weekly dividend ETFs, but CHPY has been doing really, really well, even with a couple weeks ago, that pullback that we saw. Now let's check into the last couple distributions. So within the last month, it paid out just under 40 cents, just under 39 cents, or a little over 38 cents, 38.5 cents, and 42 cents was this last one. CHPY has been a monster. I think it is one of the most underrated YieldMax ETFs, and no one really talks about it, except for me. I talk about it all the time. So I'm really pumped up with how CHPY has been doing, but let me know if you like this one in the comments, and let's check out our next ETF. I haven't been doing this series consistently because I'm planning on selling everything and rebuying in, but I need your guys' opinion. Let me know, should I do $100 invested into each, or should I simply buy one share of each? Which is simpler, which makes more sense from just a viewer standpoint? Let me know, because it would be, I don't know if it'd be easier. It would be a bit easier for me calculation-wise, but either way, that way we would see the dividends, see if they're falling, rising, depending on the history. Now, GPTY, 60 million AUM, a dividend yield of about 21%. Since, let's see, it started trading in February, so probably closer to 30-35% on that dividend yield. And the price has bounced back nicely, better than a lot of the other ETFs, but still not back to that initial point of 49.50, where it took that crazy dive. The whole market took a dive April, which was awful, but it has bounced back, which a lot of, again, the other YieldMax ETFs haven't been able to. Last couple of dividends, we have 29 cents, we had 30 cents, 29.5, and 36 cents, a massive dividend this last payment. Absolutely amazing. Now on to the next. Then we have LFGY, and this is a very interesting ETF because looking at the chart, it looks pretty bad. Now, it also is the highest yielder that I've seen of the YieldMax ETFs, or it's pretty close to ULTY. They're pretty similar, but LFGY pays out huge distributions. The AUM is 195 million. It fell from like the 250 range because it just keeps falling downward, but it's still pretty big. A dividend yield of 46% is still not even accurate. It started trading in January. We've got a little bit more to go. So it's probably in the 55 to 60% range, maybe a little bit less than ULTY. But impressed with the yield overall, but the NAV has not been consistent. And we saw it fall all the way to 34 cents, back up to 37, which is great. Last couple distributions, we have 41 cents, almost 45 cents, then 44, 38, and one extra. 46 was our last one, the highest payment we've seen in quite a while. So good. Happy about that. I'm hoping all of these YieldMax ETFs have a nice bump. And we have the main three that I've talked about so far. So CHPY, Semiconductor, GPTY is AI, and LFGY is crypto. Those are the three separate they call them sector weekly payers, which I think is a phenomenal idea. And they've been some of the better performers as well. So very impressed with these. Now to our RDTE ETFs. I'm going to move through these pretty quickly because they're just all the same ETF on a different index. So you have the NASDAQ. With this one, it's 12 million AUM, dividend yield 16%. It's probably closer to the 30 range, 30 to 40 range at least. Started trading in February, and it has climbed back nicely. I do believe these DTEs are a little bit safer, but man, they took a dive when they first launched. Not a great look. They also yield a little bit lower. It's still $45 per share. But we can see it was 28 cents, 28 cents, 18 cents, and 18 cents last couple distributions. So no jump for the DTEs, but let's check out the next one. Believe it or not, RDTY has held up quite a bit better than QDTY. We have an AUM of 9 million, very small. These ETFs are a lot smaller than most of the other YieldMaxes. It's same trading time around March, 20%, probably closer to a 40% yield on RDTY. The Russell 2000 is the underlying index, and it has higher implied volatility, so they usually pay out better, but have worse overall return, believe it or not. So RDTY, we can see 45 cents, 45 cents, then down to 26 and 29.5. Not terrible distribution-wise all over the map, but it definitely could be worse. SDTY was the first I purchased of the 0 DTEs, and I'm going to showcase this later. It's the worst performer in my portfolio simply because I bought it before the other two. So I bought it and it dipped, and then I bought the other two and then they rose. So they're actually looking really good in the portfolio, but they all perform pretty similarly. It is a little bit larger at 15 million AUM, larger than the other two, but not large by ETF standards whatsoever. Lower yielding though at about 14.4% yield. Started trading in February 20. So probably yielding 22 to 27%, somewhere around there. Last couple distributions, we had 19 cents, 19 cents. We had 14.5 cents and 15.5 cents. So again, not a crazy high yielder, but total return hasn't been bad. What matters with these 0 DTEs is when you buy them. Price is extremely important, as with most ETFs, but with these in particular, you have to get them at a discount. Otherwise, you could get burned a little on the price. ULTY, ULTY, whatever you want to call it, the weekly payer is still kind of doing okay. I mean, it's not doing great. We saw it fall down in price. It stopped out at about $5.50. It didn't hit a new low, which was great, but it has been climbing back little by little. The dividends have been solid, and the AUM is back up to 3.44 billion, which is massive. If you don't know, there's only one other weekly payer that has 1 billion AUM, and that is YMAX. And most of the others aren't even close. So there's a lot of money in this ETF. That's what I'll say. Dividend yield of 117%, not accurate. It's trailing 12 months. You have to factor in the strategy change and a number of other things. But ULTY has been fairly solid. It scared a lot of us these last couple of weeks, but the dividends, I think, have been pretty consistent. We had 9.5 cents, we had 9 cents, we had 9, almost 9.5, and then again, 9.25. So not bad by any means. People were getting upset because it did fall from that 10-cent per share distribution. Now, I don't mind that. That's fine with me. I'm fine with the yield if it goes back down to 60%. That's still an amazing yield, especially if the NAV can be a little bit consistent. But ULTY is definitely one that you don't want to buy at the 640 range right at the top, because then it fell all the way back down to 540, and you're taking a bit of a loss on that, even with the distributions. Now, I want to showcase, when I show you guys the dividends or distributions per share on here, it is exactly per share. It's not per investment. I'm going to pull everything up on my tracking spreadsheet, and that is going to be per investment of roughly $100. But we have two more very popular weekly YieldMax ETFs to talk about. YMAG has been doing really well, and I'm really impressed with this one. Now, I will say YMAG and YMAX, neither of them have recouped their losses from this crazy dive that we saw at the beginning of 2025, first couple months in 2025, and they likely won't, right? That's just the way it goes. You're capped on income, so you have full downside. You get blasted on the downside. On upside, you don't recoup all of that because you're getting the distributions instead. So you are capped, which is a bit of a bummer. But the AUM has increased 416 million and a dividend yield of about 48.6%. And we have had these pay. I think we're 1 week, 2 weeks away from a full year of YMAG's trading history. Same with YMAX. So amazing. We're almost to 1 year with this ETF. And so the yield is pretty close, probably 45, 46% range, which is wild. Huge, huge yield. And that yield is you're going to get cost on the downside for that, which I think most people know by now, especially if you're used to YieldMax ETFs. They give you everything in distributions. They pay everything out. That's why it's called the YieldMax. So if you're worried about NAV long-term, you're getting some of your NAV back, that return of capital. Now, we had 12 cents, we had 8 cents, we had 14 cents, and we had 14 cents. So they're paying out quite a bit. I'm not sure if this is going to help the NAV remain stable whatsoever. If they're able to make that money through the options and not have to pay anything out of the NAV, that'd be great. We will have to wait and see if it is sustainable. And the price has gone back up. It went up. It's almost to $16 now, which is very, very solid. And YMAG and YMAX have been going back and forth. Initially, YMAX was well out competing it, but I believe now that they are neck and neck. YMAX does have a bit of a higher yield, but the price return has not been nearly as good. YMAG is near 16, YMAX is not even back to the 13s yet, which is a little troublesome. AUM is $1 billion, like we discussed, but I mean, total return is what matters to me, not just how much money is in the fund. That 67% dividend yield is pushing this thing, keeping it in YMAG's range. We go back and forth nearly every single week between which one is going to outperform. But I want to pause and say thank you guys for just one moment. Thank you guys so much. We did hit, I think, 31, almost 32,000 subscribers. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I'm just super grateful. Thank you for the comments, the feedback, helping me improve the channel, helping me improve as an investor as well. Some of you guys just give so many resources, so much information in the comments, and I'm really, really grateful for it. I'm sure other investors that are either new or seasoned are reading that and taking a lot from it as well. So thank you guys so very much. Back to the dividends. YMAX, we had 14 cents, we had 11 cents, 13 cents, and 13 cents. So not bad, a little more consistent than YMAG, but that's because of the structural differences of these ETFs. YMAX holds a lot of the YieldMax funds. YMAG holds the Magnificent 7. And so because it holds those 7, you only get, 1 month is always going to be lower every 4 because you only have 1 fund paying out versus the rest of the months, 2 funds are paying out. So I've explained that so many times. Hopefully everyone understands it. If you don't, let me know in the comments and I can write it out and explain it a little bit better. But YMAX, is it holding up? Which is better between YMAG and YMAX? Is ULTY back? Is it doing well? Let's find out. In case you don't believe me, here's all the weekly dividends that I have added by hand to this spreadsheet. And it tracks all the way back to October of 2024. So again, almost 1 full year, which is pretty crazy. We can see YMAG has paid out 86 cents this last week. That's per money invested, which is roughly $100. YMAG and YMAX I had drip on for a period of time because I was able to, and I was going to drip all of them initially, and then I wasn't able to do that. But because I had drip on, they have like $100, $110, $115 invested compared to the 100 or all the way down to 80 that some of the other ones have because fractional shares are not tradable on Moomoo, the brokerage that I use, which I will be reaching out to them. Hopefully we can get that fixed so we can all have fractional shares and have drip for all of these. YMAX paid out 84 cents. LFGY, a huge payment of 92 cents, but the price, it has to hold up. It can't just pay out super high yield and not do well in the long run for the total return fans, which I am. GPTY, a massive 72-cent dividend. Cannot complain. Another sleeper besides CHPY, I think, is GPTY. Then we have SDTY, 31 cents, RDTY, 59 cents, and QDTY with 36 cents. All reasonable. RDTY, again, being the higher yielder, but high yield doesn't always mean best performer. So remember that. Please remember that. Just because it boasts a really high yield doesn't mean it's a good ETF. And sometimes if you're a newer investor, or it even trips me up sometimes, I focus on that yield and not the total return. Got to remember. But again, you invest how you want to, not financial advice. If you just want high yields and don't care about NAV, that's up to you, and that's totally fine. CHPY, 84 cents, a huge dividend, love to see it. And ULTY, $1.63, consistent, great, can't really complain. So we're gonna slide all the way over to the right side, and we can see our payments every single week per our money invested. There's 9 YieldMax weekly payers, so I have $900 invested, and I'm getting about $6 to $7 every single week. Now, this week was a little bit on the lower side, but it did jump from the week prior. We still had some really high weeks in the $8 range and $9 range, actually, way back when, but we haven't seen that recently at all. Now, there are some crazy tax things that happen at the end of the year, so I'm guessing we're going to see YMAG and YMAX pay out extra because they have to pay out 90% of their earnings in order to categorize themselves in a specific way for tax purposes. So we may see a bit of a jump as we go into the end of the year. For that, I'm very, very excited, but we have to wait. Can't get too ahead of ourselves. Now let's check out each position and see which YieldMax weekly paying dividend ETF has made me the most money, lost me the most money, and paid me the most in dividends. So the positions tab, it's going to showcase all of our returns. I have all the data already plugged in, but I want to pause for a second. This spreadsheet is for sale, but wait, don't buy it yet. And I know you're thinking he's a terrible salesman. I'm putting out a Google Sheets version. Microsoft version will also be available on Excel, but people have been struggling with that. It depends on the version of Microsoft. If you're on Mac, it doesn't even work sometimes. So definitely hold on. We are going to get this Google Sheets version going, and then I'll send it out to everyone that has the Excel version, and you can have both actually when you buy it. They won't be for sale separately. If you've bought one, you get the other for whichever version you prefer. It's the same piece of data, and I will be putting out a full video on how to utilize this spreadsheet because Holy smokes, the developer is amazing. And he has done so much work on it, improving it. And so I'm really, really excited. But into the video. Here we see number of shares and average cost per share. We're going to slide to the right and we're going to get to the meat of the video. We can see the 52-week range is wild. CHPY hasn't even been trading for 52 weeks, but we are near the highs. Same with GPTY, which is actually really surprising to me, outperforming a lot of the others like YMAG and YMAX. And here we go. So you're seeing a lot of red, and that's the market return, dollar and percentage. What that means is it's our initial investment. So it's not including dividends. The green is including dividends. And as you can see, everything is in the green once again. Let's go. Love to see it. Love to see things that are super in the green. Really excited for these dividends. Now, percentage-wise, YMAG is up 26%. But again, remember, I've had this for almost a year. So it's not even out-competing some of the others, despite trading for longer and having more time to pay out dividends. YMAX is significantly underperforming YMAG for me, down 4% in comparison, but still in the green 22%. And 22% on the year is amazing. That's a great return. LFGY is only up 5.76% despite those huge distributions and dividend payouts. GPTY is up 17%. Amazing. This one is newer as well. SDTY only in the green by 7.2%. RDTY 19.72%, and QDTY a monstrous 35.26%. Now remember, SDTY hasn't done as well, but I bought it at a bad time. So don't look at those three and go, oh, I'm buying QDTY, it's the best. SDTY was purchased significantly sooner during a down period in the market. Then we have CHPY up 27.35% and ULTY up 32.22%. Absolutely amazing. I love the returns. ULTY is still well in the green for me. Some people have been asking how, and it's all on here. I've posted all of my trades on here. It's all public info. I got lucky with a lot of the times I was buying, and I did have drip on with ULTY, as we can see, because I have 17.61 shares. I believe I initially only bought 15 or 14 or something like that. So I was dripping when the cost of ULTY was down in the 550 to 570 range, which bought me more shares and then lowered my average cost basis. Now we're going to slide over. You can see portfolio allocation. We can also see a very important portion. I didn't fill out the dividend growth rate portion because it varies a lot for these ETFs. They're very inconsistent, but the yellow you fill out, in case you guys were wondering. So cost basis, YMAG was 115. YMAX was 110. Market value, they're down quite a bit on their market value. LFGY is significantly down on the market value. Look at that. I can't believe it's positive. It went from $106 to $74. Some of these are doing okay, though. I mean, RDTY is barely down. QDTY is up $11, $12. Great. CHPY is up, $8? And ULTY is technically down, but those dividends do counteract that. So then last but not least, we can see our total dividends received. And this, again, is skewed because I haven't held them all for the same amount of time. And that's what my next challenge is going to fix. I'll buy all the weekly pay ETFs by Roundhill, all the weekly payers by YieldMax, maybe even Rex, maybe GraniteShares. We'll trade all of them and have one share potentially of each and track it over the year. So you're going to know which is performing the best, which ones are returning better. And I even have a new tool. It's not out yet. It's a Discord alert server, not for my trades or anything dumb like that. It's going to showcase overall returns, run-ups for these weekly payers, and I'm really excited. It's beta testing right now. You guys have been amazing testing it in the server. I'm so grateful for that, and it will be for sale within the next couple of weeks, 2 months. We'll see how long it takes. So dividends have been amazing. ULTY, the highest yielder of the bunch. Although it only, it was trading a few months, probably 5 months less than YMAG and YMAX, it's paid almost as much. LFGY also paid out a ton, $38, despite trading for significantly less time. All the rest have been very solid, and I'm really happy with the return of this portfolio. Very impressed by it, and I hope you guys are as well. If you are and you want to keep up to date on the weekly dividends, on the monthly dividends, even if you're new, don't forget to like the video and to subscribe. I'm going to keep putting out content on these. And so if you don't want to miss out on what's making the most money for income investors, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. If you liked this video, check out these videos popping up on your screen right now. Thank you so much once again. I am so grateful to you guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.